Hey everybody, and welcome back to Maverick Games. It's Dwayne here. Today I wanted to talk about a little modification that I made to the Dungeons & Dragons Encumbrance system. Actually, to be specific, I actually ditched the Dungeons & Dragons Encumbrance system. This is after a very long time, just getting to grips with sort of how it affects the gameplay and why it's even there to begin with. I felt maybe more importantly than just how much weight a character can carry in D&D, it comes down to what a character should be carrying and how much stuff, as far as overall bulk goes, a character could actually fit on their body as opposed to the weight they could carry. Now, I know Pathfinder has a system like this called the bulk system, where basically items have a certain bulk rating and a character can only carry so much in the way of bulk, which makes sense. I mean, if you're in the middle of a sword fight and you're carrying around 5 short bows with a bunch of swords and packbacks and all sorts of stuff, it's going to be kind of hard to swing that sword. Although maybe they can physically carry it because of their strength, doesn't really make a lot of sense. So I sat down with one of my players and we homebrewed a gear slot system. Now I know gear slot systems have been used in a lot of campaigns and a lot of Dungeon Masters like it, and it's kind of pulled from the video game aspect when you look at games like Diablo and other games that use a gear slot system. But we kind of kit bashed it and worked it into an actual functional system. So I'm going to walk you through what I've got for my gear slot system, and maybe it'll inspire you guys to change up the status quo when it comes to encumbrance in D&D. Let's have a look.
So let's tackle the basics of the gear slot system. Every character has 5 slots on his or her body for gear and equipment. That's regardless of species. And we did some testing to see exactly what amount of items a player is going to need to carry, and it just seemed to fit perfectly. So each item that a character wants to carry on his adventures is going to use up 1 slot, regardless of the size of the item. Now, I know that's different from a lot of gear slot systems where they start to micromanage how many slots a specific item actually will occupy, and that was kind of counterproductive as to why I wanted to do this system in the first place. So I just wiped the slate clean and went with 1 piece of gear uses 1 slot. Now, having said that, there are some ways that you do have to organize these gear slots. So, for example, the backpack. The backpack counts against your total gear slots, which means if you are carrying a backpack, it's going to use up 1 of the slots that's on your character's body. However, it does open up 10 sub-slots that you can be used to store all the other stuff that you want to carry around with you, whether that be extra equipment, armor, things like that. Anything you want to put in your backpack occupies a slot. Now, let's talk about pouches. Pouches can carry up to 300 coins or gems or very small trinkets. Now, of course, the player is going to have to keep track of what he actually has in the form of currency, but in general, the pouch doesn't care what's in it. 300 coins can be stored in a pouch. Now, one question that came up during playtesting was, can't players just throw coins into their backpack? And in the current D&D system, that's totally able to be done. I'm going for a little bit more of an organized approach. If a player wants to store his coins in his backpack, he needs to put them into a pouch first. That pouch will occupy a slot, but again, that pouch can carry 300 coins or trinkets. So just make sure your players are buying pouches to put their currency in. Now, very rarely you might have a player decide to keep his or her pouch on his waist, so it occupies 1 of his 5 slots, and that's fine as well. But just keeping in mind that anything that the player wants to have accessible is going to be allocated into those 5 slots. Now, we also have quivers as a container type. Now, quivers are kind of unique. We've basically specified that quivers can't be used to store anything other than arrows. Now, that leads me into my next step, which is the bundling system. So we decided that any small items can be grouped up into a bundle of 5 of those items. So whether that be rations or water or anything in general that has a multiple quantity that makes up a cohesive whole, you can bundle them together. So arrows, for example, would be able to be bundled, and a quiver can hold 4 bundles of arrows. So that fits into your 20 arrow quiver. Again, quivers can't hold anything but arrows, so if players are going to want to start stuffing their coins or anything else into the quiver, just let them know that that's a specific type of container. Now, another rule that we decided that fits perfectly with this system is actually making it so that if a player has anything in their backpack, it's considered stowed. So if a player has a potion of healing in his or her backpack or anything that they want to access, they actually need to use their action or one of their actions, not a bonus, not a free action, but a standard action to actually unstow that item. That means basically pulling their backpack off their back and ruffling through it, looking for the item in question. This can be circumvented, however, if the player wants to put it on his or her body as one of her 5 slots. Now, obviously in the new 2024 rules, accessing a potion of healing is a bonus action. But in general, anything that a player wants to access on his or her body is a free action. So withdrawing a weapon or basically just anything that would be classed as an interact action. So this just makes it a little bit more desirable to carry stuff on your body versus just having easy access to all the weaponry that you're carrying around in your backpack, hand axes, daggers, etc. Now in practice, this system actually got my players thinking very carefully about what they want to bring out on an adventure. That's the whole point of this system. I wanted players to get a sense that they weren't just a walking storage facility for all the weapons and gear that they could carry. And I have drawn some hate for this from a lot of people in the community who feel that I'm breaking the rules as far as how D&D should be played. But I really kind of wanted to tread the line between that realism, but also the fun of having a variety of items at your disposal as an adventurer. So far it's worked out great, and I haven't had a lot of pushback on it. If this system's actually looking kind of curious to you and you want to use it, I'm going to make this slide available on the Google Drive in the description. So if you want to access it and implement it into your campaign, print it out, or however you want to do it, feel free to do so. Hope you're all having fun playing Dungeons & Dragons out there, and we'll talk to you soon. Before you go, I need your help. I'm trying to grow the exposure of what we do here at Maverick Games. My goal is to actually bring information to parents and students for fun, academics, and even support of neurodivergency. Please subscribe and make sure you click on those notifications. I don't do paid ads or sponsorships. I hope that you can find content here that's enjoyable for yourself and maybe others. Thank you very much, and thanks for tuning in.